Listen, I'm easy to find. And then they can kiss my ass.
What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? It is Nathan back with another video presentation. Hope you're all well. Hope you're all staying safe. Happy Saturday. If you're on the West Coast, it's 2 o'clock here in the heat. It's 2 o'clock. This video is being recorded. Just let you know that. Hope everyone's having a great weekend, staying safe. Before we get into the video, there's a few things I would like to say up front. This episode will go up on YouTube tomorrow. Looking along somewhere in the morning, mid-morning, early afternoon. So be tuned in for that. Tomorrow, I will also be going live because now we can start voting for the 2022 WNBA All-Star Game. We're almost kind of at the halfway mark for Season 8. We're getting close. We're really getting close. As far as other episodes progress after that, we're still going to be capping the finals after each game and previewing each game. As far as the offseason for football is progressing, we're going into week 3 of OTAs. There really hasn't been that many significant moves as of late, so we're definitely keeping our eyes on that. We're going to be probably following more baseball than anything, so be tuned in for that. But as you see in the title of this episode, we are recapping Game 1 and previewing Game 2 of the NBA Finals. Interesting. But before we get into that, be sure to like the video, consider hitting the subscribe button along with notification bells on. Share the podcast. Check me out on Spotify, Big Nate Sports Talk. Also, too, I'm on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and many others. So definitely check me out. So the Boston Celtics on the road beat the Golden State Warriors 120-108.
How do you do that? How do you do that? What the hell is going on? I'm not going to even sit here and act like I didn't know this was coming. Or act like I know this was coming because I did it.
Okay, so a couple of things I looked at. I thought in the first quarter, everything looked really well. Everything was going back smooth. It was kind of a back and forth game. Really quick, I know Steph led the game with 34 points. Then I know that Wiggins had 20, Clay had 15. I think the biggest takeaway from Game 1 was going into the fourth quarter. Because remember, Golden State had a 15-point lead going into the third quarter. The first quarter was interesting. I noticed that there were guys who had their hands on their hips. That was telling. That means that Boston's defense really gave it to them. But I expected everybody to come out and show, because I knew Golden State, even though Jordan Poole didn't have a great game, he and Klay Thompson, Andrew Wiggins, they all combined for 44 points. I was looking other than Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, Derek White, Al Horford, everybody stepped up. But for me, that fourth quarter by Boston was some of the best basketball I ever saw. You come in going in the fourth quarter, you were down 12. And against the Warrior team so far coming into the finals in the Game 1, they're 9-0 at home. I mean, again, I'm just going to be honest. They really haven't faced anybody that was tough. They faced a Denver Nugget team that was just the Joker and friends. I'm gonna keep saying that. The Memphis Grizzlies, if Ja Morant doesn't get hurt in that series, that's a difference maker. And then Luka Doncic didn't face anybody that swept you off your feet. Jason Tatum, I noticed I would expect him to come out, but he struggled. He just really, I think he just really just had a hard time finding his shot. So he became more of a distributor. He took 17 shots, only made three, so he had to finish with 12 points. Um, I you know, he made up for it by being like I said, a distributor. He had 7 assists in the first half. I think the last person who did that, I want to say, was John Stockton. John Stockton? Yes. Um, I was surprised. I was surprised. Um, he had a couple good looks. I would like to see in game two. I would like to see Jason take it more to the rim, but Golden State's length inside, I noticed that was a problem. But they made the adjustments. Uh, like I said, with Jason Tatum not really being there, I was looking for the others to step up. I was Al Horford, um, Derek White. They all came out. I didn't even know Al Horford's. I found on Twitter that Al Horford's birthday is coming up soon. Um, he had six threes. That's crazy. Derek White also too. He's not really a shooter, but he had 21 points coming off the bench. Pritchard, Robert Williams, they all stepped up in there. Uh, that fourth quarter run was led by none other than I said his has to be his Robin, Jalen Brown. Um, I thought he also too didn't really have the great. He struggled off a little bit offensively in the first half, but he finished. He shot 10 to 23. He had I think he had 7 rebounds. He also too a lot of it started on defense. Um, just the energy, and I thought when he gave that lob to Rob Williams, I said, okay, they're starting to really spark it up. Um, and then I'm gonna give Boston. I'm gonna give them. You got to give them their flowers. That defense. This is the same defense that beat that swept Kevin Durant and Kyrie, beat Giannis in seven, and beat Jimmy Butler in seven. Like we cannot take that away from them. Steph Curry had 21 points in the first quarter. That's fine. But going into the second half, they made the necessary adjustments. Steph Curry, after the second quarter, really was nowhere to be found because they just kept switching on him. The way that I've learned, you can't give Steph Curry so much space, and I know there was some people. I heard Mark Jackson saying is you can't give him much space, and you really have to be on him, especially if it's a pick and roll. Because there was a situation where this instance where it was Marcus Smart, Robert Williams. I can't believe who was setting the screen, but Robert had left Steph open. I'm like, no, get in his face, make him be a passer. Uh, I thought after the first quarter, I said, okay, they're making the adjustments. Um, I'm just was shocked. I was very disappointed. I mean, just going cold in the second quarter was interesting. I felt like Steph was taking advantage in the first quarter of the lack the lackadaisical effort by Boston. Now there were a lot of offensive possessions, defensive on the defensive side of the ball that Boston there was a lot of miscommunication. I could see that, um, but as time progressed, I saw Marcus Smart, I saw Jalen Brown, I saw them switching a lot of guys on Steph Curry. I saw that, and I think a lot of it was defense. The identity for Boston was defense, and I still think that it was a great game. The fourth quarter, I mean, they just Golden State got punched in the mouth. I'm just gonna be honest about that. I just don't think you can win. I'm surprised Steve Kerr didn't make the adjustments because in the third quarter uh, they took advantage going. Golden State took advantage going to the free throw line, but they only made I think it was 1 out of 5 free throws, and in the first second, and fourth quarter. Like I was completely surprised by that. And then I know again Jordan Poole having a great game. Otto Porter, he had a nice he had he had made a couple threes. Um, everybody did their part. Everybody came out, but the story of Game One was Boston's fourth quarter was their defense, the adjustments they made on Golden State, and that fourth quarter run that was key. Um, now, I do know this: you're not going to go back and I'm confident Boston can do it again, but there's no way going back into the Chase Center where Golden State's going to let that happen again. You were Golden State had a 15-point lead going in the third quarter. Boston had 7 threes in the fourth that really sealed the deal. Steph Curry had 21 points out of his 34 just in the first quarter. But the rest of the way really was nowhere to be found. They're going to be better. Um, I know they're not panicking. They're champions. I know they want to get it together. Uh, but like I said, this is a team that has over 123 games of experience. So yeah, they got they got dazed, but they're going to get right back up. Now Gary Payton II uh, actually was back. Out of Porter and Iggy were all playing. I was surprised. I thought Gary Payton wasn't going to play until game 2. Uh, but I mean, Gary Payton didn't play. Well, you'll probably see him get some minutes tonight. I really do think that with those two, I was actually surprised Iggy would come off his injury. He looked pretty good. And Otto Porter too. I from watching the Wizard, I always knew Otto Porter he was going to be a good player. I just feel bad that his potential was never really fully tapped. I blame, and that's a whole other story for another. That's a whole other subject for another video. Um, but I do feel like now that you've got some more versatility, particularly on the defensive side of the ball, and you're going up against a Boston team again that has offensively they can shoot from the outside and they can shoot from the inside. And I think we get Gary Payton back, for example. We all know he's an all-ball defender, but I do expect a little rust there. Not going to lie. Now, I'm curious to see on the defensive side what Golden State's going to do, particularly taking away Jason Tatum's shooting, because Jason Tatum became a playmaker for the others. That's going to be key. And then more importantly, I'm looking for again the others, Jaylen Brown, Al Horford. They're going to carry the momentum going into this game. But I'm also looking for the others. I'm looking for Golden State. Other than Steph Curry, I know Clay's going to step. I know Clay's going to step up. Jordan Poole, Draymond, we're all going to do that. Like, I feel like it needs to start with their defense, because I said Golden State also too is a good defensive team, but I do feel like also too you need more offense, and it just can't be Steph Curry. I know this is on Jordan Poole's first true NBA Finals appearance, so you know the he the nerves. You know that's going to happen for him, but he's got veterans who've been in this situation before to help him. Um, and again, you got to be aware because of Boston on the defensive side because they're active. I mean, we saw Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, Marcus Smart, Derek White, Williams, a lot of switching. And you're going to have to be really active on the offensive side of the ball. And also, too, I think you just got to get in there early. But I do feel like Boston did have an issue with rebounding the ball. Um, that was another key. But from what I've seen, uh, I don't think you can. You got to take Boston off the three line. They made 21 threes. That can't happen. Um, and also too, you got. I think they will respond. Um, I mean, I feel like to have seven threes in a row happen and then down the stretch, you Golden State faded. If Boston can maintain that, I think this series could really, really turn to be interesting. I'm still holding out hope. I still believe that this series is going to go 7 games. I'm going to be confident. I'm going to say this is going to go 7 games. I'm going to hold out hope that the Boston Celtics win the NBA championship. But I'm going to say the Boston Celtics will beat the Golden State Warriors 117, 110.
Guaranteed.
I think I can see a score like that. But we'll see. Also, too, want to give a shout out to the crew. So Jeff Van Gundy and Mike Brin were not did not call game one. I thought Jeff Van Gundy just had COVID, but it was Mike Brin. So Mike Brin and Jeff Van Gundy that were both tested, so he was out. So Mark Jones, Lisa Salters, and Mark Jackson were the first uh, crew, all black commentating crew. So shout out to them. Very, I enjoyed the game. I'm always a fan of Mark Jackson and Miss Salters. I haven't. Mr. Jones too. Can't forget about him. I love their inside of the game. So it's good to see that. Definitely good to see that. So definitely get a shout out for them. So y'all be tuning in for the game tomorrow. The game I believe comes on what time? Let me just check. Just check for y'all really quick. Tomorrow at 8 o'clock. So be tuned in for that. Before we end the episode, I wanted to also remind you again tomorrow. Be tuned in for episode 17 of the podcast. Like I said, be tuned in for future episodes. I appreciate the support I've been getting on the channel. Thank you to those that have recently subscribed. Much appreciated. Uh, might see some guests on here. My goal is by the season before season 8's over, we might see some special guests in here. So be tuned in for that, ladies and gentlemen. But my closing message, I wanted to talk about this. I thought it was really interesting, and it kind of really proves the point of when it comes to critiquing the modern day athlete. So Kevin Durant, let me just start off. Let me preface my comments by saying I love Kevin Durant. He's one of my favorite basketball players. I have no beef towards him. I respect what he does as a basketball player, what he's done for the game. Some of the things that his story is sometimes some of the things he's saying positive wise, I can relate to some of it. I do think there are some things I disagree with when it comes to some of the things he says on social media. And again, like I said, it's okay. We can agree to disagree. We can have different set of opinions. That's okay. Recently, he was on Twitter and he responded to something that Stephen A. Smith had said on First Take. And I have, quote, Michael Jordan is responsible as much as anyone for changing the game for worse. He was so phenomenal that the NBA marketed the individual and the audience gravitated towards the individual and the game became a bit more individualized. What I'm saying is that you were thinking team until Jordan elevated to another level. And from Jordan, then you went to you had the Kobe's, the Vince Carters, and others that came along therefore after the individualization of sports, particularly because of the money it came with, became a focal point. Steve and Kevin Durant responded on Twitter. My theory is that guys like Steve, Skip, and Shannon have changed the game for the worse. Players like Steph Curry, Steph Curry and Michael Jordan can only push the game forward. So Stephen A. responded and said, "News for you, Kevin Durant. We ain't going any damn place. For every Stephen A. Smith, Skip, and Shannon Sharp and others, there are 1,000 more is coming down the pike. We're not going anywhere. We multiply." Sorry. Some others responded, and Eddie Johnson, former Phoenix Suns, the great Eddie Johnson, he said on Twitter, "I disagree with Stephen A.'s take, but he has a right to state his opinion because of one reason. He has put in the damn work. I will be honest, I can't stand those two mentioned, but they are putting in the work. Athletes today are too damn sensitive, focused on the comments and negatives." And then Kevin Durant responded, "Nah, these media members are sensitive. As soon as athletes disagree with the outlandish hot takes, y'all take it as a personal shot in your character. LOL, it's insane how y'all can't take what you dish out. What's the athletes who lack mental toughness?" I'm gonna respond to that. So he's right. I think both sides. Listen, I think all of us, whether we're athletes or journalists or not, we're all sensitive in some kind of way. But I have said it, and I'm gonna continue to say it. The modern day athlete is sensitive. You cannot say anything without them coming at you and thinking you're the get off my lawn guy. I'm going to keep. I've said this. I'm going to say it as loud as I can. I'm going to critique you on the court or on the field. I'm never going to get personal about you as a player. My job is to, if you're playing like trash, I'm letting you know you played like trash. If you came out the first three games of the NBA season and you take an example, let's just say hypothetically, Kevin Durant, right? The first 6 games only had scored less than 10 points. I'm going to question that. Kevin Durant is capable of scoring 30, 40 a night. The first 6 games, he scored 10 points. Injury? System? What is it? Now, the issue that I have, and Kevin Durant missed this, but I understood what he was saying. Because sometimes when we criticize, when these guys criticize athletes, they're quick to get personal too. For example, LeBron James and Charles Barkley, great example. This was when LeBron was in Cleveland. And then he made some comments about how the team was performing. Mind you, this is the same team that he put together after they paid Kevin Love, Trisha Thompson, Iman Shumpert, J.R. Smith, all that. And the comments that he was coming and said, "Man, I need some help. I need this." And Chuck came out and said, "You've got Kyrie Irving, you got Kevin Love. How much more help do you need? And you can't really make moves when you don't have the money to make those kind of moves." And he said, whiny, inappropriate. Does he not want to compete? LeBron responded by stuff that happened off the court with Charles Barkley. That's the issue that I have. If I'm talking, and there were some things that Charles said that I agree with, but I think he should have worded it differently. But it's really interesting about today's athletes. When we say nice things, when we compliment these guys on, you know what, damn, that kept, I'm keep saying that. I'm just using Kevin as an example. Kevin Durant, man, this man can do it all. What else? What can he do? Kevin Durant's not going to say, "Hey, Nathan, thank you for the kind words. I appreciate that." Because if I do that, I'm either kissing ass or I'm looking to get clout. But when I call athletes out, when I sit there, like for example, I watched the Washington Mystics last night take 21 threes and only make 5 and go, that's not going to win you basketball games. And hey, the ball movement needs to be better. That's criticized. That's critiquing. I'm not saying that the Mystics can't play basketball. I'm saying you have to improve your shooting. That's critiquing. We can do that. But this notion that you're supposed to put this place say nice stuff about people, these athletes in the media all the time, is absolutely false. Because we can criticize and we can also give you praise. Because sometimes there's an old saying: if you can't take the heat, get out the kitchen. Now there are journalists too that are sensitive. I agree with him on that. But the way these guys are today, I can't say one thing without them going on social media and saying X, Y, and Z. Now I said the same thing with Kyrie. I'm saying with Kevin Durant. I have no beef towards them. I respect what they've done on and off the court, but I'm going to critique you as an athlete between those lines if you're either on a football field, a basketball court, a baseball field, doesn't matter. I'm critiquing you what I see on the field. If you're playing like trash, I'm going to call that out. Plain and simple. I'm never going to get personal. That's not me. I'm going to keep it real. But I'm also too going to give you the respect that you deserve, and hopefully in return you get that respect back. Because there are good journalists out here that put the work in and day out, and they don't get the appreciation that they should. There are a lot of journalists out here that do deserve their flowers. But it's just interesting that these guys today, when you ask them the tough questions, because I'll give you an example. Last year in LA, and I love Russell Westbrook, but there was a question of why the team not playing well, and he gets sensitive. Is the season over? Well, the way you guys are playing like it is over, and they didn't even make the playoffs. When he was in Oklahoma, Barry Trammell asked Steven Adams' basketball question. Why is it when you guys go off the floor, and that question should have been worded differently. Can you just talk about what is it about offensively when Russ is not there, where it seems to be a struggle? What's going on? That's a basketball question. Did he get personal? No. He simply said, well, when Russ goes off the court, you guys don't play well. What's that about? Because it's the truth. Because guess what? When we look at how your performance looks on the field, you can't make excuses for that. As players, you got to take accountability and say, you know what? I got to play better. Instead of lollygagging, giving these bullcrap excuses and moving the goalposts. But my point is that, look, I want to critique you on the field when you play bad or good. You want to get praised, but you also want to get criticized. If you can't take it, get out of the kitchen. That says more about you than anything. Now, it's also to you as far as coming to as journalists. Hey, there are journalists that do come out with these. I agree with what he said. These outlandish hot takes. Some of them are ridiculous. But at the end of the day, there are athletes that do focus on negative comments, and they give it energy. When we give praise, we don't get, hey, thank you, I appreciate that. Hey, you know what? I appreciate you for, being on the show and really giving me praise. I appreciate that. But when I sit there and criticize, I don't know what I'm talking about. He's crazy. They just do anything for clout. That's crazy to me. But look, my point is this: be authentic, be real, and do and do you. Me, I'm gonna keep it real. I'm gonna criticize, but I'm gonna give you praise. If you're playing great, I'm gonna give you your flowers. But if you're playing like trash and you're not performing to the ability that I know you can be, I'm gonna call that out, and I have a right to do that. We can disagree. We can be X, Y, and Z. We can do those things. But I think when you just focus on the negative and not the positive, that bothers me. Because there are good people out here that actually do their job and they care and they love to support these athletes. But that's just me. Until then, I'm out. I'll see you on the next episode. Stay up.
Listen, I'm easy to find.
These videos are tremendous. Like, comment, and subscribe, and hammer that notification bell.
And listen, they can kiss my ass if they don't like it.